Welcome to the Voices of Young People podcast, brought to you by Springtide Research Institute. In each episode, we hear directly from young people as they respond to our research and share about the issues impacting their lives. As sociologists and researchers, we see a new story unfolding for young people, one that moves beyond traditional institutional boundaries and requires careful attention to the inner and outer lives of emerging generations. At the intersection of being and becoming, it's the Voices of Young People.
Hi, my name is Nabil Tueme, and I'm a sociologist and associate researcher at Springtide. I'm your special guest host for the season 6 of the Voices of Young People podcast, and I'm so honored to be hosting the season because we are specifically listening to stories from Latinx young people as they share their own religious perspectives. This special series is offered alongside the State of Religion in Young People 2021, Navigating Uncertainty, and offers a sneak peek into the research that we at Springtide have been doing alongside Latinx youth and young adults. A note about our terminology in this podcast. Throughout the season, you'll hear us use the terms Latino, Latinx, and Latine interchangeably. These are all terms that have been used to describe people of Latin American descent, though some of the terms are contested. Here at Springtide, we're committed to using the terms that reflect young people's values and the ones that they themselves prefer. I am so excited for today's episode because we are talking to Brian, who is 22 years old and in his first year of graduate school. Brian is such a thoughtful storyteller, and in this episode, he really reflects on the role his family has played in his faith life, and also the role that his family's migration from Peru to the United States has played in his faith life. As you'll hear in this episode, Brian goes to church pretty regularly, and he discusses how going to Mass not only deepens his personal faith, but it also allows him to feel close to his family while he's away at school. So take it away, Brian.
Hi, my name is Brian, and I use he, his pronouns. I'm 22, and I was born in Peru and came to the United States at age of 7. I'm a first-gen graduate student, and in my free time, I like to go to the gym, play sports, or play video games. I connect with my religion that I connect with since the beginning. It has always been Catholic. My family has always been Catholic, and I would say I am still connected to that religion through my family, and I guess we'll dive deeper into it as the conversation goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a lot of people who can relate to that, myself included. So, Brian, for some people, their religious or spiritual system is really deeply connected also to their Latino identity. And so I'm wondering about what it's like for you, if that's true or not for you.
Yeah, so I think to some extent that is true for me. I grew up in Peru. I was born in Peru, and I came to the United States at the age of 7. So just from what I can remember from when I was very little, I was always around a family that was Catholic, and I was introduced to the religion through my parents going to church. And I think when you're very little, you don't truly understand the whole magnitude of it. Of religion. What is religion? I think my parents kind of didn't raise me fully expecting that from the beginning, but raised me in a way that I was able to attach myself to that religion. And as I was growing up, I connected more with that religion through taking the Holy Eucharist and First Communion, confirmation, and all those type of things. I think that as far as like me being Hispanic or Latino, definitely had an impact on that, because I think the culture in general does tend to lean towards Christianity or Catholic. And I think that's all that I was exposed to. So in that regard, I think that it did have some impact, but yeah, it was mostly because of my family, what I was exposed to through my family and family in Peru at a very little age. Because we were the first ones to ever come to the United States from our entire family. And I did have like an aunt here at that point in time. Now I do have a couple more aunts that have come over, but as far as family here in the United States, it's really been just my mom, my dad, and then my brothers and I. And as far that has really been like, I guess, my foundation and my stronghold in terms of that connection that you mentioned. And I would say that I do still have it today because of that. Yeah.
Okay, great. So do you go to church now that you're in college and you're away from your family? Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I try to go. I don't go every week, but I do go. I would say mostly every week, like maybe bi-weekly if I'm being accurate. But yeah, I do try to go and maintain that, even though I'm alone here. Previously, it was just my family. I would go with my family, and going without them seems kind of odd at first. But I think, yeah, once you make that trip on your own, then you begin to actually connect in a different way. Yeah.
What kind of way is that? Could you say more about that?
I think one thing, like a clear memory I have, like real vivid memory, is just that I was, I think, in high school or somewhere, I think maybe ending middle school, entering high school. And I remember like just going to sleep. And this has happened numerous times. This is probably what I remember so well. But going to sleep, and then my parents, my dad worked as a newspaper carrier, and because of like coming in as immigrants, it's difficult to find a job, and so he has to work a job where he works during the night, and so he doesn't get much sleep in the night, and he sleeps during the day usually, and sometimes he doesn't really get that much sleep. But I vividly remember like just going to sleep as a normal kid and seeing my dad just leave the room at like 1 a.m. and going to work, and and my mom just helping out my little brothers get ready for bed because they were going to school the next day. And memories like that, I think, like really impacted me because I began to get a sense of respect for what they're doing. I truly began to understand at that point that, wow, this isn't something like, they could choose to not do this. They chose it, but like, I think in their minds, their goals, they always had it. Their goals were that we want a better life for our kids. And, they told us this numerous times, but they never really complained. Like that was what was, I think, the point where I began to understand, like I began to get a sense of respect. They never complained. They had to go through a lot of these things that were not always ideal. And they just faced every adversity with calmness, with, okay, we're going to get over this. And I began to truly admire that and get a sense of respect for them. I think having met some other people in my position, like that are also first generation students and children of immigrants, and even like in my current position as a DACA student, like you see a lot of these experiences repeating, and I don't know what it is, but I do know that like one of my strongest values that I uphold is I have learned because of my family, because of my parents. And I think that's really rooted me in just the person that I am as a whole, and in the way I choose to look at religion. My parents, I think every night, I remember like mostly every night, that my mom would come over to all of us. So it would tell me and my brothers, I have 3 brothers, and we would tell all of us, okay, we're just going to pray. Like every night we would pray at the end of the night together. And we would do that. And, I can easily remember that. And that's just like my parents just instilling that in us. And I can see like now my little brothers, I think they're at the same spot that I was. We're just doing this, but we don't really know what it means yet. They haven't gone through First Communion. They haven't done their confirmation. We don't know what it means yet, but they still do it, and in a way that kind of joins us as a family. But it's also building our religious aspect as well.
Just a quick break to thank the donors who make this podcast possible. Springtide Research Institute is supported by donors who believe in the critical research and insight-generating work we do on behalf of young people. You too can help sustain the work of Springtide so that resources like this podcast series can be made alongside our research reports. Your one-time and ongoing gifts allow us to continue our mission to equip those who care about young people to care better. Visit springtideresearch.org today, where you can make your own tax-deductible donation with a variety of giving options. Now, back to the episode. Can you tell me about a time that you felt an abundance of faith, or that you felt really kind of deeply connected to your faith?
I'd say one important thing for myself and obviously for my parents was that when we came to the United States, they were fully adults and we were kids, but they didn't fully understand when they'll be back. And I'm sure that's true about many immigrants' families. Like they knew that they wanted to go somewhere else, somewhere better than the current situation they were in, but they didn't have a set return time. And one of the things that has impacted me the most, and obviously my parents, was the inability to see their parents again or their family again. And I'm just thankful that my mom and dad got to see their parents. My mom got to see her mother, but not her father before he passed away. And my dad got to see his dad and mother, and my grandma, which is currently living here in the United States today through the help of my aunt, which I am eternally thankful for, because that is, one of the aspects where it's kind of unfair that they cannot get to see their parents at all. So then I was really thankful when all those times that they were able to come over. I think for my parents, it was just joy. And even though some of those times they were just visiting and came back again, but now my grandmother has came to the United States and my dad has been able to see her a lot of the time. I feel my faith grows within that moment, because it was a moment that I was hoping for a long time for my parents. And I have personally prayed for that, and then my parents have prayed for that. And I think not all prayers are answered, but in terms of my faith, that really I would say that really enhanced the way I see it. At that point in time, that's just an abundance of faith, I guess, the way that you described it.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I teared up a little bit because I always wanted my abuela to be here, but it's so hard. So I'm really happy that came true for you and for your family. I know how special it is. So I'm happy for you, and I really appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you.
Can you tell me about a time that you felt that your faith well was empty or shallow?
I would say that due to like my immigration status, and um, different problems have arisen at different points of times, and it doesn't seem fair at that point, and um, the part where I guess the well kind of empties out. Yeah, it seems like why does this happen? But I'm sure that's like normal for everyone. That face Everybody faces their own difficulties. But yeah, like things that are not really ideal for us or create an extra challenge for us or my parents, like um, I would say like they maybe start out as an impulse of like anger and um, sadness, and maybe the duel sinks a little, but eventually it turns into a moment of realization of like problem solving. And I think, yeah, like I don't think there has been a point where the well is completely empty for me. Um, at least not in my memory that I can recall. Uh, I think I've always had that fallback mechanism where I'm able to pick myself back up. Um, and that has to do with like my religion. Um, we're all in this world, but I think that there's something else for us as well. And that has to do also because of my family, because of the values that they've instilled on me. So yeah, I don't know if there's been a point where that well has clearly emptied out, but I definitely have it where it has been set back or lowered.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. What practices help you feel rooted, or help you feel more like yourself, or help you cope with some of these hardships? And would you consider any of these religious or spiritual practices?
Well, one of the practices is I like to go to church. I think one of the aspects that going to church gives me is that um, whenever I go into church, no matter which church, that um, it gives me a sort of familiar feeling off the bat, just immediately. And it's because like I've been here before, a bunch of times, and this was probably like as a kid instilled in me. Like I was in this environment before. I might have not known what it was truly before, but I was here. And I think whenever I enter a church right now, I get that same familiar feeling. I feel like I'm with my family. I feel like I'm with, back in Peru, we used to go, not just my immediate family, but all my family. So I think that's one of the things that I like to fall back on, church. It gives me a sort of familiar feeling, and it gives me a place to think about when things go hard. And yeah, in terms of religious aspects, I think a lot of things take place in church. You have confession, you have Holy Eucharist, and each of those things kind of like makes me a little more attached to my religious world, and it takes little significance off the problems that are going on in real life. Yeah, I think that's important.
Awesome. Well, Brian, when you think about this topic, just in general, and this is a big one, right? Just your faith life, how you make meaning, how it helps you navigate your world. Is there anything else you want to share with me today?
I think that it's important that you connect with something. At least in my personal perspective, it's not everybody that gets to have a family that instills something like I have. Through my parents, they've instilled me through very little, but I think something out there, we require a significance. And, you know, I don't think that believing in nothing is good, especially not good because they're, I don't know, my perspective is just that it seems kind of like a black hole. What are you really doing here? And I suggest like to look out for things, like be open to learning about and be open to changing your perspective. Take in all these different perspectives, and I think everyone should just make their own decision.
Well, what a wonderful way to end this episode. Brian, thank you so much for your insights today and for talking with me. And I really appreciate you. And it was wonderful chatting with you about your faith life and your experiences.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was really great.
Visit springtideresearch.org to hear more voices of young people and to download our latest report, The State of Religion in Young People 2021, Navigating Uncertainty. Thanks to a very generous donation, the digital version of this report is free to download. Springtide Research Institute is supported by donors who believe in the critical research and insight-generating work we do on behalf of young people. Make your own tax-deductible donation with a variety of giving options on our website today. Today's show was produced by Nabil Tweme, Marta Abuaji, and TJ Birnbaum, with original music by high school student Christian Unthank. Special thanks to the 5 guests featured in Season 6, Latinx Voices with the State of Religion in Young People 2021, and to all the young people whose perspectives and insights make our research possible. Follow us on social media at We Are Springtide and interact with a variety of resources connected to the 2021 report with the hashtag Religion and Young People 2021. Thanks for listening.